What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTB Ravens Media, bringing you Ravens content every single day. If you want to see the daily Ravens content, please make sure to hit the subscribe button down below and turn that notification bell on to get notified when I upload a brand new video. Especially if there's more news about the Ravens, I upload that as soon as possible. Before I get into this day 3 recap and analysis, I want to thank everybody for really all the support that the channel's gotten and the videos have gotten over the last couple of days, and also really over since it was created. But in the last couple of days, it's really been hectic. I've been working as fast as possible to get all my instant reactions and kind of all my analysis out to all of you. It's been a ton of videos, but it's been ridiculous. We've gained like 100 subscribers. I think it's something like 20,000 views in the last 48 hours, which is absolutely mental. So thank you to everybody for really supporting all that stuff. I don't know. It's just absolutely crazy. So thank all of you for doing that. But let's get into it. Let's get into this day 3 recap. So pick 131, Ravens drafted wide receiver Tylan Wallace. Now, my initial reaction to this did not really show the excitement that I was feeling in that moment. Obviously, because I was thinking about another wide receiver I really liked, and it was kind of disappointing not getting the other guy. But Tylan Wallace was one of my favorite wide receivers in this draft class. He was a guy that I really did not expect to be a day 3 wide receiver. I made those day 3 wide receivers guys to target. I didn't think he'd be a day 3 wide receiver. I researched him and stuff like that. I watched his highlights and all that stuff, and I was like, oh, I love this guy. I would love to have him. But then I'd make those videos, and I'd be like, he's not going to be a day 3 guy. That's not going to happen. So I'm not going to, get people's hopes up by saying day 3 when it's like, oh, wow, he went in the second round or something like that. And I'm like, oh, well, now I look like an idiot. But he dropped to day 3 and we got him, and I couldn't be more excited about it. He's a contested catch master, and he is going to play much bigger than his size suggests. I guess he's technically 5'11", but he is an absolute dog. And I want to compare him to 2 former Ravens players, in certain ways. And I am comparing them to Ravens players just because I feel like it's easier for Ravens fans to identify with. They know what those guys specifically brought to the table. The first is Anquan Boldin. Tylan Wallace is shorter. He's faster. But in terms of what they're able to do in terms of route running and making difficult contested catches, jump ball situations, that's exactly what Anquan Boldin did for us. They're going to be physical. They're going to go out there and make it really hard on the defensive backs and make the big plays for us. So Anquan Boldin's the first guy, but then after the catch, he's not Anquan Boldin at all. I would say just in a sense, Steve Smith, in a hesitant way, not like uber shifty or anything like that, but somebody who's going to catch that ball and be as physical as possible with the ball in his hands. We remember the Pac-Man Jones stiff arm Steve Smith would throw out there. He would lower his shoulder, get a couple extra yards. That's what I see out of Tylan Wallace, and I really like that. So I compared him to 2 really historical Ravens wide receivers, historic dogs for the Ravens. And I am very, very excited. Fun fact about him, he led the FBS in contested catches since 2018 and has the second most 15-yard receptions. And if you hear that and are not happy with it, I don't even know what to say. He's an absolute beast, and I'm very excited to have him. How much playing time he'll get, I don't know. I'll really have to try and think about it. I don't know where he fits in on the depth chart because we got a lot of guys. I would say he's definitely top 5 on the depth chart. What I would think would happen, but I'm still going to have to do a lot more research. Probably have to watch some preseason, watch some training camp, and that type of stuff. But very excited about Tylan Wallace. The next pick, technically, we traded back. I thought it was a very good trade back. We traded our 6th round pick and our 4th round pick, got a 5th rounder, but we also got a future 4th rounder. And I really like that just because, we already got 2 comp picks in the 4th round. We got our 4th rounder. We're going to have a lot of 4th round picks next year. So we have the ability to move up into day 2, but also, taking early guys day 3. We'll be able to go, and Lamar Jackson could be making a lot more money next year. So developing those guys and getting young players on cheap contracts is always nice. So the Ravens probably felt they didn't have a guy on the board right then and there that they needed, so they traded back. And I think they did pretty well with the pick that they traded back for. So at pick 160, the Ravens went out and got Shaun Wade, defensive back out of the Ohio State University. Probably the most mysterious prospect on the Ravens, just because he played nickel at Ohio State. And he was considered a top 10 pick in the NFL draft. He was that good. You look at recent Ohio State corners to get drafted, guys like Okudah, guys like Marshawn Lattimore, guys like Denzel Ward, all first-round talents. This guy was seen as the next guy. He was the next guy. And he was the nickel cornerback that year, and then all of a sudden he transitions to play outside, and it did not look good. He really, really struggled, and that brought him down from a first-round talent, a top 10 arguably talent, to a fifth-round pick. Now, the benefit is he dominated in the slot in the nickel position. What do the Ravens have at nickel right now? Tavon Young. I love Tavon Young. He's very, very good. We'll maybe have Tavon Young for like 4 games if we based it on like averages from, what he's played. I hope he stays healthy. I'm really hoping for that. But Shaun Wade's kind of projection is somebody who can be a nickel cornerback, but also kind of a free safety hybrid type of player. Think of a guy like, obviously not as good, but I'm just trying to think of comparisons. A guy like Tyrann Mathieu, where a lot of times he will line up in the slot, no cover guys, especially when he was playing in Arizona. He'll line up and he'll cover guys in the slot, but also, he's listed as a free safety, or maybe he's listed as strong safety, but he plays safety. And then he comes in, covers the slot guys, and does very well in that. So I see Shaun Wade is kind of doing that, which is also a relatively similar thing to what I kind of expect out of Brandon Stephens. So the Ravens really have 2 guys in this really like this mixed package that they can utilize. I think right now Shaun Wade is definitely the more NFL ready player. So I think he'll get more of an impact right away. We'll see what Brandon Stephens is able to become, how good he is at free safety. But I think Shaun Wade, this is the biggest. If there was a 5th round player that the Ravens drafted that could turn into a Pro Bowler or, even a Hall of Famer, it would definitely be Shaun Wade out of all of these guys. So I really like the pick just for the absolute upside that we see in him. In terms of recent Ravens corners that have been drafted, definitely has some of the highest upside, higher than guys like, what was his name? Marshall, and other guys in previous years. So I really like Shaun Wade. But we'll see what he's able to be. Hopefully he goes back to that peak form, because he was very, very good playing in the nickel spot, which is actually harder to play. But I don't know. He dominated in it. So I'm okay with that pick. Pick 171, Ravens took Dalen Hayes, defensive end out of Notre Dame. I don't think he'll play defensive end for us. I think he'll be a drop linebacker. They could potentially get some pass rush snaps. However, he doesn't really have any pass rush moves. This guy's phenomenal in coverage, though. He is somebody who's going to be able to drop back, cover good tight ends, and really lock them down. And that's something that the Ravens absolutely need. We technically now have Shaun Wade. We have Brandon Stephens, who could potentially be guys that end up covering some tight ends and things of that nature. But Dalen Hayes is just another guy that could come in and cover, because at the linebacking core right now, in terms of coverage, we don't have anybody that's very good in coverage. I really like Patrick Queen, but he got taken advantage of a lot of times last year. Hope he can improve. I don't think he's going to be horrible for his entire career, but he can definitely improve. But just getting another guy with good reactions, good ball skills, and that type of thing, I think could be very valuable to the Ravens. So I really like the pick of Dalen Hayes. Like I said earlier, he could technically rush the passer every once in a while. However, he's just not a very technical player in terms of rushing the passer. He gets hustle sacks. A guy breaks out of the pocket, he'll be able to chase him down. I don't expect him to be somebody to develop anything, which is very different from a guy like Odafe Owe. Who could absolutely develop moves in addition to his already great athleticism. So I think it's a cool kind of tandem that we've brought in, kind of to the linebacker core in Hayes and Owe. I really like the pick. Wink Martindale is going to be able to do some fun things with them, because you could line him up at the edge and drop him back. You could line him and Owe up next to each other. On the edge, look like one of them's blitzing, and then either of them drop back, because Owe does have that ridiculous athleticism, or Hayes is able to drop back and, has very good coverage skills. So very solid pick. Getting into pick 184, definitely the pick that I don't think any Ravens fan would disagree with me saying the most controversial pick for the Ravens. Ben Mason. Now, Ben Mason, fullback out of Michigan. John Harbaugh had to get his Michigan guy. What's kind of funny is when I like saw he's from Michigan, my kind of thought initially was like, if you were from any other school, man, I would be so excited. Just because like Jim Harbaugh's been so horrible at giving us players. We've never gotten a good player from Jim Harbaugh's recommendations. Ben Bredeson, Chris Wormley. Now we've got Ben Mason. So hopefully Ben Mason turns it around. But getting into a fullback, we already have a fullback. But he is an interesting player. From my perspective, I'm not going to consider him to be a fullback, okay? I'm going to think of him as a specialized blocker, I'll call it. He's a specialized blocker for the Ravens. And what that means is he's going to be able to line up. Yeah, technically could be at the fullback spot, but he could line up out on the tight end spot. He could line up at H-back, and he could come in and absolutely block for the Ravens run game. The benefit is he's very athletic. He's actually very good catching the football, and he's actually pretty solid after the catch. We like to see the hurdles, but don't judge a guy based on being able to hurdle, because we had Max Williams, if y'all remember, and he hurdled people. Wasn't a great tight end. So don't just judge it off of being able to hurdle, but he is good after the catch. He's very, very physical, and I like that in a fullback. I'm sorry, not a fullback, a specialized blocker. But like, think about the things that the Ravens could do in certain packages, because Greg Roman, we all know, is a run scheme designer. Think about this. If Lamar Jackson stood in the backfield and had to his right Patrick Ricard and to his left Ben Mason, and he ran, I don't know, QB power, the blocking, I mean, it would be absolutely insane. I mean, like, everybody would know it would be a Lamar run. It would be very similar to the type of Cam Newton type of plays at the goal line where, you know, Cam drops back, runs QB power up the middle, and it works because it's Cam freaking Newton. But we could kind of get that going with Lamar if Wink Martindale decides to do it. So I'm not disappointed in the pick. There are other guys that I really liked, that a lot of Ravens fans really liked. But, you know, the Ravens know what Greg Roman wants. And I've really liked what they've done so far in the draft in terms of they've added like wide receiver weapons, but they've also added like really good weapons for the run game in terms of going Ben Cleveland, in terms of going Ben Mason. Wow, we like guys named Ben. I mean, every left guard I think on the roster is named Ben. But I'm pretty excited to see what he does. I don't hate the pick whatsoever. I'm curious by it. I'm very curious to see how he's utilized. It's also said he could be playing, you know, some defensive line, you know, for the Ravens. Maybe he goes in on, you know, field goal blocks like Patrick Ricard used to do, and get out there and try and, you know, make some plays. I know he can play on special teams. So I'm very intrigued. I think it's going to be he's going to be a fun player to watch. It's just like it was very like surprising to everybody, but I'm down with the Ben Mason pick. Is it my favorite pick of all time? No, but I'm okay with it. I don't think it's a horrible pick. I was just like, I was so shocked, you know, now that I've kind of researched him more and understand that, yeah, he can line up at tight end. He can line up at fullback. He can line up even on the defensive line. So those are kind of my thoughts on the players. Let me know down in the comment section down below how you thought day 3 went. What players do you think that the Ravens should maybe go after as undrafted free agents? Speaking of undrafted, go to undraftedsports.com. You know, look at that. I nailed that plug right there. Go to the undraftedsports.com. Subscribe for daily Ravens content. Turn on the notification bell. Like the video if you like the video. And I'll see all of you again tomorrow because I am incredibly tired. I've made like 14 videos. And I'm done. I really hope there's no more news, but if there is news, I'll see you then. But hopefully I'll see you again tomorrow so I can get some sleep.